other, we should be helping one another, and ultimately making sure that everyone is going in the right direction through happiness, finding their purpose, empowerment. And this is why I wanted to get you on the show, because it's so important. And I'll make sure that this is everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere, direct messages, you name it, because it's so important. Yeah, it's so important. So I'll do a little introduction. So my name is Renelle. I'm the founder of the Youth Hub, and the Youth Hub is a recruitment, well, it started as recruitment, but it also provides advice and empowerment to the youth. So that's what I'm about. And I wanted to get Charlie on because Charlie has done amazing work. So her name is Charlie Blair. I just put it out there. I don't know if you want everyone to know your full name, but but yeah, so Charlie Blair, I have huge admiration for, because she's done amazing work within the youth communities, not just for the youth as well, but for the elderly also, which is really good. And she's primarily done work in East London, which is a place where I'm from, which, so, you know, when I found out that she was doing work around where I used to grow up as well, I thought it was like really interesting. That's what got me to follow her and see the amazing work that she's done. So she's the founder of the Blair Academy, which is a hip hop dance class which brings happiness, health, and well-being and fitness as well to many people. And she's recently co-founded the Hood Hippy, which you could check out on Instagram, which is all about the mind. It's all about meditation, holistic healing, and much more. So could you tell me a little bit about the Blair Academy first, and then we can move on to Hood Hippy as well?
Yeah, for sure. So we're nearly 3 years old, which is just mad to think. Like, it feels like yesterday that I was there with my notebook just planning how I'd bring this idea to life. But yeah, we launched in June 2018, and to be honest, the Blair Academy is like a culmination of my personal and professional experiences. So I went to the University of East London, did a degree in dance urban practice. So for those that are unsure, those are all of the dance styles under the kind of urban diaspora that didn't form in a dance studio. So you might have heard the term like street dance dance styles. So popping, locking, hip hop, breaking, capoeira, Bharatanatyam, crump, like a wide variety. So I trained as a professional dancer. When I was 19, I was homeless. So I grew up in Walthamstow, and then I lived in the YMCA on Forest Road for a period of time, and then was in all different kind of shared houses, different accommodations, went to uni, lived in my uni accommodation, so on and so forth. So I have that experience of homelessness and living in hostels. And then also I was a carer for the elderly. So in my final year of uni, my nan was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she had like an exercise plan to follow along with her chemotherapy. And she was not with the plan. She did not like it. She was like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not getting involved, this, that, and the other. So I said, look, I'll adapt it. I'll make it more fun and lively. Like, don't worry, Nan, we've got this. So it literally just started with me in my nan's living room, thinking, okay, like, she needs to keep it chair-based. What can I do sitting down that's still fun, still groovy? So I was taking all of the hip-hop steps that I learned at uni and adapting them so that my nan could do them in a chair. And honestly, I thought there would be quite a bit of resistance. As I say, my nan wasn't like forthcoming to trying new things, but she loved it. She was sitting there vibing. I thought, you know, the music, will this work? But it did. And in seeing that, I thought perhaps like hip hop could work with other older adults that need a kind of chair-based activity as well. So I was just like calling care homes in my local area saying, hey, got this idea, my nan really likes it, can I come and try it? And to be fair, a lot of them thought I had the wrong number. They're like, this is a care home for the elderly. I'm like, yeah, I know. And luckily, you know, some of them bought into the idea. They let me come in, give it a go. And then kind of simultaneously, while I was caring for my nan, she kept saying, oh, you know, you're so caring, you're so thoughtful and nice, like you should go into this profession. And I was a bit offended. I was like, Nan, I've just got a dance degree. Like, I'm going to be a professional dancer. Like, no. So I never really had anything kind of in my mind to like work with the elderly. That was never really a path that had come to me. But my nan kept saying it, and in October 2018 she passed away, so a few months after I'd launched the company. And I just felt compelled to like listen to what she had said and follow through. So I went and I trained to be a carer. So I used to go into people's homes, help them mainly with personal care, getting them washed and dressed, preparing their meals, medication, things like that. And two things became really apparent to me. One was that these people were really lonely, and, you know, isolated from the community that they were once very much a part of. And that struck me because I had felt the same way. When I lived in the hostel at 19, I felt just as lonely and isolated. So I felt like a big resonance, and I thought, wow, like I was a teenager. Some of these people are like in their 80s, 90s, 100s, and we felt the same way. Like, who would have thought? So for me, it was like, wow, like loneliness is something that, you know, it doesn't discriminate. It can affect any of us. And I think the pandemic has really shown people that, because we've been stuck at home, you know, in a similar position to a lot of our elderly neighbours who have been this way for, you know, a long time. So it's kind of bridged that gap of understanding. The second thing that was also apparent was how different health conditions manifested themselves in the body, and how much that varied between people. So you could have one person that had late stages of dementia, and the symptoms that you would see are very different from another person that's also experiencing late stages. Same with things like arthritis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. And I was really noticing how these conditions, although many of them are conditions of the brain, they had a very apparent effect on mobility and the body. So for me, it was about kind of tailoring the sessions to create something where we're specifically carving out time for people to focus on their physical and their mental health, but also in doing something a bit different that they might not ordinarily do. And that's, you know, with our young people and the older people that we work with. As I say, loneliness is something that can affect any of us, or that feeling of being excluded. So I'd say over the past 3 years, our work's really expanded. We work with like parent and baby groups because it's really isolating being at home with kids. We go into schools, colleges, specialist schools. We work with community centres to put on youth projects. We're in homeless shelters, hostels, care homes, day centres, like anywhere that will let me in the door. I'm like, let's go, let's do something. So yeah, it's really grown over the past 3 years. But as I say, it all really stemmed just from my own experiences. And you know, I'm very lucky that I was able to turn my personal experiences into a business. Yeah, really, really lucky.
Do you know what? I'll just like to say that, you know, that you see, that's what it's all about. It's changing a negative situation into a positive. And this is something that I like to, you know, say to the youth, is that, you know, we all have our own problems in life, and you know, sometimes it's easy to put it aside and keep going, going through the motions and living day by day the same, not changing, you know, your negative situation. But what I really respect and admire about you is the fact that you've came from a very, very rough place, changed your life around, but not only that you changed your life around, you're helping change others. And for me, you know, there's nothing else that I can really say that is above what you've done and achieved and what you're helping others do. Because at the end of the day, you could have just changed your life around and just kept going, but you've changed your life around in a way where you've also, you know, helped others come with you as well. And I think that's what is needed in our communities. And unfortunately, it's a very selfish world out there, isn't it?
It is. And for me, it's very much part of my purpose to have lived and experienced these things, and to then be able to transform them. And that goes with like anything that I've been through in life. Like growing up, I experienced a lot of domestic violence in my house. That has majorly influenced like the work that I do, the way that I do it, even just, you know, my outlook on life and how I live my life. And I think I always encourage anyone, like, if you can take your personal experiences and use those to then like help other people, I would massively encourage you to do that, because the feeling is beautiful, because it gives so much purpose to what you once deemed as pain. Like, I couldn't understand why I'd been through certain things, or, you know, that I had that attitude of like, why me? Like, why have these things happened to me? Like, when I was in school, I worked really hard. I was a good student. I left with 5 A's, 5 A stars. I was academically, you know, very, very lucky to adapt to the school environment. It doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. And I followed on, you know, I went to an incredible sixth form, went to uni. And for me, like, when I was homeless and stuff like that, I felt like I was being punished. It was like, why is this happening to me? You know, I've done things the right way. How could this happen? But now, in hindsight, like, the older me can realize that all of this has been integral to my journey, and it's enabled me to do what I do. And that degree of relatability that people have is so important. Like, when I go into a hostel, like, people often have their backs up, they're defensive, like, rightly so. I felt the same when I lived in a hostel. I'm looking like, who are you? Like, why are you coming in here? What have you got to offer me? Like, I was on a defense. So I resonate with them so much. And once I'm able to say, oh, like, I get it, like, I've been where you are in a way, or I can relate to how you're feeling, you just see, like, the guard drop. And as I say, that's with any context. Like, I've run projects with young people that are on probation, and straight away they're like, what? You haven't been on probation? I said, no, do you know what? I haven't been on probation. Luckily, I haven't been on probation. I said, but I have had a multitude of other life experiences that have led me to where I am today, and put me in a place where I can now, like, help you guys. And I think that really kind of broadened their horizons. It was like, okay, like, she's not quite like us, but she gets it. And that's important, because, you know, there are going to be people that come into your journey, like my mentor, for instance. He is a living legend, and our paths would have never have crossed before. Like, he's been, you know, working in a big corporate banking world for many years, much older than I am. Like, I wouldn't have thought that, like, our paths would have aligned, but I'm so grateful to, like, have his influence and his knowledge. And even though we're, like, worlds apart in terms of, like, how we've grown up or the life we've experienced, we still have so much to contribute to each other's existence now. So I think that's really important as well. Like, just letting young people know, like, there is, you know, there are people out there that get it, basically.
I totally agree with that. I just finished reading the book, 50 Cent, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, or something like that, along those lines. But it's a very good book. And he actually mentioned something very similar to what you said. And I'll just put it out there, because I think the youth should really, they should really take it on board, is that sometimes it's not the people that the day-to-day people that you always see, because you've got to remember, you're around these people, you think similar, you act similar, you move similar. So sometimes it's something that's out of the box, something that you're not used to, that can actually help and change your life. And he actually said he got into meditation himself, 50 Cent, and he said that he meditates all the time. And he actually, he said years back, if you would have told him that he would be a very good friend with a spiritual leader, so to speak, and who's an author, and he's done great work. I think it's Deepak Chopra. And he's very good friends with him, 50 Cent. And he said if you told him that years back when he was on the streets, he would have laughed at you. But he said that he's learned so much from him, and it's helped him change his life around.
Yeah, and again, it's that relatability. Like, it's people seeing, what, 50 Cent meditates? Like, why? 50 Cent meditates. Maybe I can, you know, because that was me as well. Like, I was very resistant to meditation, yoga, like healing, any of that stuff. Like, when I was at uni, we did yoga. I used to say it was boring. I would just lay there, like, thinking, what am I doing? But
Exactly.
what I realized is I hadn't actually opened myself up to
Yeah.
the practice. I hadn't allowed myself to be vulnerable and really get involved. And if I'm honest, that I found all of that stuff like in a place of desperation. Like I felt
Mm.
like I'd tried everything else, nothing was working. Like I'd been on antidepressants, I'd been on anti-anxiety medication, I'd been through counseling, and I still had so much pain. And it was at a point where it was bigger than me. Like for years I'd pushed it down, pushed it down, pushed it down. And I feel like when I hit like 25,
Mm.
everything just like came to the surface. Like when my nan passed away, it was a very traumatic time. Like my nan passed away and a week later I lost my job, and I just started my company. So I was like working, running the company alongside, trying to balance, and I lost my job. And again, it was a moment of like, how, like, why is this happening to
Yeah.
me? Like, I don't understand. But it gave me that ultimatum in that moment, like, okay, do I just go and like find another job? I have a first class degree, I could walk into another job, I'm sure. Or do I take the jump and really like try with my business? Like I have all the time in the world now. Like imagine if I gave the 8 hours a day that I give to my boss to my own business.
That's right. Yeah.
So, you know, at the time, again, I couldn't see what my boss was trying to say, because he was saying to me, look, like, I think you need to have a think about what you want to do. Like, I don't know if you really want to be here. It seems like you want to be over there doing your stuff. And I was like, no, I definitely want to be here. Please don't fire me, please. But again, you know, in hindsight now, and as a business owner myself, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, in my heart, I was absolutely committed to my company. Like,
Of
it
course.
was, you know, my little baby.
Yeah.
And even though in my head I was doing a great job for him, he just could see that, you know, my heart and probably my head sometimes was elsewhere. So I'm really grateful to him, you know, for giving that push and for a lot of the knowledge that he passed on. But yeah, at the time it was just like, no. So yeah, I was just in a place of desperation, if I'm honest, where everything had kind of gone wrong. I'd tried all of the like conventional ways of dealing with
Mm.
things. And if I'm honest now, like I'm quite upset that those were like the go-to things that like my GP and stuff would recommend. And like now I'm like, why didn't anybody talk to me about mindfulness or breathing techniques
Yeah.
or taking a walk and grounding myself in nature or the power of aromatherapy? And you know, like nobody actually told me that a lot of the power like actually lies in my own hands, and I'm capable of doing things in my everyday routine at home that are going to help me.
Mhm.
Like I feel a bit like finesse, like nobody ever told me any of this
Yeah.
stuff, and I'm like, whoa,
That's the thing.
why
And
why
and and that's the thing. You know, in school, and whether it's school, college, uni, whatever, education wise, you don't learn nothing about these things. The most important life skills in life, unfortunately, are not taught in school, which is your mind, your health, and finances as well is very important, because that
Yeah,
could be, you know, it's very important. These three things are
100%.
very important, and they're not taught in school. And
No.
you know, and sometimes parents don't teach, you know, either, you know. And there has been like surveys and studies where the more affluent areas, you know, the middle class, upper class, they do teach. Not all, but some do teach their children these
Yeah,
things. Whereas,
yeah,
unfortunately, you know, the working class, there's a
yeah.
high percentage that don't. And this,
Absolutely. It's
yeah,
generational. Like it trickles
yeah,
down. Like I'm sure my parents would have told me those things had they have known them, and somebody told, you know, like often
exactly.
you repeat a cycle. Like my mum was 18 when she fell pregnant with me, and she was in college. She was encouraged to drop out of college to get any job she could just to put
Mm,
food on the table. And you know, she was guilt tripped out of her dreams. It was like, well, you know, you have a baby now, like you got to provide, like
mm,
that's it, like just get anything, do anything. And I feel like, you know, it wasn't that same kind of ethos of like the entrepreneurial spirit that we have now, and like,
Of
you know, you can
course.
do anything, and
So different.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the
No social
resources
media,
we have.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so different. So, you know, I feel like my mom, like, absolutely, like, was doing the best with the knowledge she had. Like, she definitely told me about, like, not repeating a lot of the mistakes that she had made, for
Of
instance,
course,
like
yeah.
with like debts and things like that. And I had to see that like firsthand.
Mm.
But again, it's like the learning the hard way. Like for the working class people, we have to see like the effects of the provident man knocking every Friday and your mum hiding because she hasn't got the money to pay him, to deep that, right, I need to actually pattern my finances and know what's going on here. Like it
Exactly.
takes that big jolt. Whereas, as you
Mm.
say, like with more affluent communities, it's a given. It's like, yeah, their kids know that their
Yeah.
kids have debit cards and savings accounts and ISAs and university funds, and like
Already there before they're born.
already they speak about inheritance, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to inherit from anyone. I don't know what you're talking about. Like it's a very different landscape. And again,
It
like
is.
that's why I really appreciate the work that you do, because in like the financial realm, not a lot of young people are aware of a lot of like stuff that's, it would be seemingly basic to other people, like on the flip side of the wealth divide. And even just like the language, like everything, like
Yeah.
in like mainstream is off-putting. Like it
Of
doesn't
course.
make it accessible for people to get involved, particularly if like they're not good with numbers, or you know, maths isn't their thing. Or even like when I was at uni, near enough everyone I went to uni with was like, nope, I'm a dancer, I don't deal with numbers, I don't like
Mhm.
maths. Now 3/4 of them are self-employed. They're panicking because they don't know how to do a tax return, they don't know what a balance sheet is, they don't know what their income and expenditure, like they haven't got a clue. And I
Mhm.
feel like they've been robbed. I'm like, wow, like we really paid £9,000 a year to go to uni, and we
I
didn't
know.
even learn how to sort out our finances. Like this is what's going to be like paying our bills, feeding our families. This should be like first and foremost. Like, why did I learn what to wear to an audition and not how to do my tax return? Like, I was very blessed that I went into a finance role at a dance studio,
Mhm.
and was able to get like bookkeeping experience,
That's
and then
good.
go on to be a finance manager at a theatre. So I was managing big budgets, you know, and I was lucky. But again, it's just that like once in a lifetime opportunity that I was
Exactly.
lucky to get that knowledge. Had I not, I'd be like most of my friends saying, oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, this is
Yeah.
long. Oh, this is complicated. This ain't for me. So, you know, it's really important, because you have that like imposter syndrome thing where
Mhm.
when you are from a working class background and you're like going into like corporate settings or trying to do things with like business or anything that's like legit and like glossy, it's scary because you feel like you're not meant to be there. It's like, I remember when
Exactly.
I went to speak at like Houses of Parliament, Oxford University, I've been on ITV News, BBC News, and each time, like when the call came through, there was a little bit of like, are you sure? Like, do they know that it's me? Did they get it right? Because if I get there and they
Mm.
flop me, I'm going to be really upset. But it's like that little bit of me going, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I can do this. You know, I'm just this girl from Walthamstow. Like, really? So, you know, it's about diminishing those beliefs. And a lot of that was because of language. It was because people
Yeah.
saying to me, so, you know, what's your elevator pitch? Have you got a business plan? Can I see your balance sheet? Do you have a profit and loss sheet? And I'm like, no. I
Yeah.
just have this good idea that's kind of working and it's making money. So I think it's good. Like, and again, you know, it's only because I like got into certain like business competitions and won that I was able to like get mentorship and get support. But had I not, I'd probably still be like flailing around, just trying to take bookings as and when I could. You know, I wouldn't have the
That's fine.
staff, the team that I have. So it's important, you know, to eliminate the kind of barriers, whether they be language or accessibility or cost or anything, just to make sure
And
that young people can, you know, get these skills.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think from what you've just said there, it's all about taking opportunity, but also trying to grow as well. I've always said that growing every day is so important. I always set myself targets and I always say to myself, do you know what? I want to read a certain amount of this book. I want to watch a certain amount of these podcasts. I want to go on YouTube, look at the, motivational coaches. I want to look at, there's some great people out there,
Yeah,
people
so
like the Tom
important.
Bellews, the Jay Shetties, all these type of people that
Yeah.
help your mind, but also help you in your
Mm.
career, your business, your personal life.
Yeah.
If
And it's
you're in a
those small
relationship,
habits, like the small
yeah,
habits add up. And it's so much harder to set like good habits than it is like to like break the bad ones. Like, you know, like mornings, for instance, like I used to dread waking up in the morning, having to get ready, go out in the cold, go to work. And now, like, I'm in a place with like mindset and my business where I wake up feeling so grateful. And again, we've been taught to kind of wake up, rush out of bed, brush teeth, get ready, quick break. Like, nobody taught me about stretching in the morning, moving my body, how good that is for me, to do my morning
yeah,
meditation, to write my affirmations, to say my affirmations out loud, to journal. Like, none of it. And
mm.
doing these things has changed the entire landscape of my day. And it's like, wow, I've
Helps you keep a
spent,
clear mind. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like I
mm.
spent 26 years like doing it all wrong and dreading the days and having so much anxiety and panic attacks. And like now, like the way I can regulate my breathing, I'm able to like breathe my way through pretty much all of the anxiety that I experienced.
That's
And
right.
it's like, why didn't anybody show me this? Like,
And it helps you manage your day. Once you
100%.
start right, they always say as well, the beginning and the end of your day is the most important
Yeah,
parts to get right, because once you get
definitely.
the beginning and the end, the middle part is sorted. Yeah, you
Definitely.
can
And
you
I
can manage
have
the middle
to.
part much more easier.
Yeah, I feel like you have to, like, particularly when you're trying to balance a few things, which a lot of
Yeah.
us are, whether that's like kids and a job or, whatever it might be, a
Mm.
couple of businesses, your work life with your personal life, whatever you're trying to balance, having these rituals and these routines is so integral. Like, this is my to-do list right now. Like, I couldn't manage, and this is just Blair Academy. Like, I have a separate Hood Hippy book, and then I have like the meetings and stuff that I do every day, and then I have the post-it note for my morning routine. Like, there is so much that comes into
That's
keeping
right.
everything on track, but ultimately it makes me feel in control, like, of my time, of my day, and of my productivity. Like, and I think that's important as well. Again, like, we're encouraged to kind of work a 9 to 5 schedule, and it doesn't take advantage of like those pockets of time in the morning and the evening
Hmm.
when we might be more productive. It doesn't encourage us to use rest as a part of productivity as well. I used to beat myself up. I still do. It's still something that I'm working on. I find it very, very difficult to switch off and relax. I get very, very overwhelmed by like the
Yeah.
multitude of things that I have going on and the responsibilities that are on my shoulders. And again, like, nobody encouraged, like, when I was coming into my business, I feel like I was part of this like new wave of entrepreneurship that was looking up to like the Mark Zuckerbergs and like our kind of new wave entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And the mindset was like all or nothing. Like, you go hard or you go home. Like, I was
Mm.
sleeping on the floor if I was sleeping. I wasn't eating because I could buy leaflets with that money. Like,
Mm.
everything was geared up to the business, and it made me so unwell. And
Mm. Mm.
to me, it was like, no, you got to make sacrifices. Like, you have to
Mm.
sacrifice. And
That's
I
right.
was prepared to sacrifice my whole self. Like, yes, absolutely, you have to make sacrifices, like, in terms of any like goal or journey that you're on. But to sacrifice like my whole self and my peace of mind and my sanity, that was not worth it. It was definitely not worth it. So,
Exactly.
it's important for everyone to find that balance in their day, in their existence, and just be comfortable with just being. like that's what I struggled with. I'm always doing. And I really struggled to just be. So, you know, it's really powerful knowing that you have these tools like that lie within yourself that you can use. So yeah, I'm all like for like spreading the word. Like with Hood Hippy, it's about like aligning these things, like these holistic practices with street culture. Because for me, like most like working class people that I know, or people that have grown up like in areas similar to mine, they have anxiety, they have depression, a lot of them have PTSD from the things they've experienced, the life they've lived, and it's normalized, and they are so desensitized to it that it upsets me to my core. Like I will see close people that I know who have been through horrific things, like things that people could only imagine in a movie, and to them it's so normal, it's so like part of their everyday life that they'll be like, I ain't traumatized, you ain't trauma, no, like as if, stop it. And I'm there like, or they'll react to certain things and I'm like, bro, like, you know, that's a trauma response, like you're reacting that way because of what you've been through. No, that's just my personality, that's just the way I am. I'm like, it's not. It's a culmination of the things you've been through and all the layers that you've put on, like, and when you start to peel those off, like it's incredible. So yeah, I'm really trying to diminish like the stereotypes that are around all of this stuff. I thought, you know, meditating was just middle class white people going and a lot of people feel like that. Do you know what I mean? I used to think, crystals, they look nice, but really, like, I was dubious. I was so dubious. So to now like be on the other side, I'm like, no, I feel compelled to just tell people about what I'm doing, and like if it helps them, amazing. You know, again,
So
I don't think I've got the answer for everyone, but
no, of course. But I think it's good to spread the message. And you know, people could take it, you know, and it might not be for them, but the main thing is that you put it out there and let people understand. I mean, I've got my thoughts on as well.
Be protective all the time.
But it's like it's Onyx, this one. But do you know what? It's all about spreading the message, but like, how did you get into it, and what was the trigger in your head that made you think, do you know what, I want to get more, you know, I want to get into like holistic healing meditation, the breathing, the praying?
So it's actually my mum. So like growing up, I always knew that like my mum was like into spiritual stuff, I would call it. She used to go to a spiritual church like when I was younger, and she was very into like aromatherapy. Like she would never use conventional medication with me. Like I would always have like homemade like essential oil rubs and stuff like that growing up. But I never really paid no mind. I was like, like that's the way my mum is. Even when I see her like in childbirth with my younger siblings, like now on reflection, she was meditating like during that. But I used to be like, my mum, that's just what my mum does. She just goes inside herself, like she just zones in and does it. But my mum's just always been like very interested in this stuff and like practiced a lot of it herself. And she said to me one day, she was like, Charlie, like I really feel like all of the things that like you've been going through, like they've kind of they've overpassed the limit, like they've just taken over everything, like. And she was right, like it was clouding like every day. It wasn't a point where I could just kind of put stuff in a box and like compartmentalize it over there. It was really like seeping into my everyday existence and affecting everything, how I felt about myself and, you know, how I viewed the world. And she was worried. She was like, you know, I'm scared like that, like I'm not going to get my daughter back, like you're so different, and I'm really worried. And as I say, this was like not too long after my nan had passed away. And my mum actually ended up taking me for a reading with a medium, which I won't get too into because that's like a whole nother conversation. But it was that kind of ignited my desire to read more about spirituality. I've always been interested in like life after death and reincarnation, near-death experiences, things like that. And I've always felt that like I deeply know my purpose and I'm here for a reason. And I used to be a Christian. I used to go to church. I was baptized. So I've always felt that, you know, the universe is too incredible to just like be a mistake. And, you know, we're all here for a reason. And I had an understanding of a power that was much bigger than me. So yeah, my mum kind of got me into the practice at first. And then once I felt like some relief from the pain I was experiencing, and particularly like my panic attacks were really bad at that time. So like most nights I was laying in bed like shaking uncontrollably, and no matter how much I was like telling myself to calm down, I just couldn't do it. And I felt like it was too far gone. I was like, no, like I've tried, like it's just not working. But again, like my mum started sending me like some videos and recommendations on different breathing techniques, and just like different doctors and authors speaking about trauma and about how our body and our mind responds, and how actually our body, like it kind of keeps a toll of like everything we've been through. And it, you know, it's really powerful to kind of give your body permission to release those things.
That's right.
So yeah, once I started reading and I felt like some relief from my panic attacks through the breathing techniques and stuff like that, I was just like, yes, like I'm actually getting somewhere, like this is really helping. So I started to go back to like what I had learned at uni with yoga and meditation, because we did touch on it there. And then actually, so this is pre-COVID when we could go and see people, I was invited to a meditation circle in Walthamstow with a group of girls. I'd never met them before, and I was really nervous. I was like, am I actually going to go and sit in a room full of strangers and meditate with them? Like, oh, am I losing my mind? What is going on? But I went, and that was like a massive turning point, because it was the first time I went to Walthamstow Girls, and it was a fantastic school, big up them. But it's very strange being in an environment with 900 girls. Like that's a lot of estrogen, and it's just like a lot. So when I left school, I was very much like, oh, like girls are just drama, and I don't like it. I don't feel supported by them, and oh. And I was very much like a tomboy, out skateboarding with my male friends outside of school. But when I went to the meditation circle, it was like the first time that I'd been in a room full of women where they all had like really good positive intentions for me and wanted to see me do well, and was literally like sending healing energy my way. And when I left, like I just felt it was just so powerful, to, you know, have that safe space carved out. And yeah, the girls there were just amazing. They were giving me recommendations. I would say, oh, you know, I've been feeling XYZ, and they would recommend a tea for me to try, you know, or a particular candle to burn, or a book to read, a podcast to listen to. So, you know, I was just lucky to have those people around me that could give me advice onto like how to get into all of this stuff, because it was daunting, and I was like, oh, like where do I even start? Like I remember when I first started like womb healing, and I was like, as a woman, like raw, nobody told me that I was meant to like talk to my womb and like do all of this stuff. And even like the journal questions that were coming out, it's just like I've never asked myself any of this stuff before. Like it was just such a powerful journey. And I just feel like the more like I was feeling the release and feeling good and letting go of pain that I'd held on to for many, many years, it just kept me going and encouraged me to change my routine, so that, you know, I wouldn't be like plagued by the anxiety or any of the pain that I was suffering, really.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, seriously, it's a really good journey, and this is why I really wanted to get you on. It's really good. So what's your vision for like Hood Hippy. We'll go back onto the Blair Academy in a moment, but with Hood Hippy, what is your vision? What's your, what would you like it to be in the future?
I'm really hoping that as we move forward, I'm in a place to like offer like retreats and like
Yeah,
getaways where people can come and really like focus on doing that shadow work and asking themselves those questions, and like a safe space for people to bring stuff to the surface that they have to deal with, because I feel like the
yeah,
lockdown, like it kind of gave people that time, or it gave me that time. And before, like when I was going out to work every day and doing this, that, and the other, I didn't have time in my head to sit down
yeah,
and actually process the things that I'd been through. And for me, like I'm very high functioning with my anxiety and my depression. Like some people would look and say, nah, she's
mm,
good. Like she gets up every day and she's on job. But that's because that's how I deal with things. Like some people, their response is to like lay in bed and do nothing. But that makes me feel more anxious. Like I feel better about myself if I'm up doing things,
yeah. Keep it
trying. That's
moving.
just,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
mm,
just the way it manifests for me. So I know the importance of like somebody actually saying, whoa, stop, come over here, this is what we're going to go through, and we're going to talk about this and just open you up. So yeah, I'd like to be like a facilitator and bring in people who are trained and experienced in the different kind of therapies that we've been looking at. For instance, we do a lot of cold water therapy at Hood Hippy at the moment, a lot of meditating, a lot of guided
mm,
meditations, energy healing. We work with a lot of crystals. So it'd be great, to have different practitioners coming in and opening people up to how they can use these things in their everyday lives. But yeah, as I
it's
say,
good. It's really
yeah, the
good.
brand is really about just like opening people's eyes and dispelling some of the myths that surround a lot of this stuff.
Exactly, because like what we went back to before, you would if I said to certain people, 50 Cent, he likes to do yoga, meditation, this and that. You wasn't. A lot of people would be like, nah, like
Yeah.
they would laugh it off. But it just goes to show that it's not something for a certain group of people.
Mm.
And like once you dispel that myth, and I really like the name as well, because it appeals to everyone and it appeals to
Yeah.
like a demographic that can get into as well.
That was my
So
flatmate.
yeah,
I have to give props to my co-founder and flatmate.
yeah,
Yeah, he came up with the name Hood Hippy like years ago. He's actually a music producer, and he thought he was going to use it as like his producer name, or his rapper name, but he ended up forming a duo with his twin brother. So they have a hip hop duo. And yeah, we were just walking one day in Camden, and we'd just been to buy like some crystals and stuff. And I was telling him about like the different things I'd been doing, and he was like, "No, do you know what? Like, we could like tell people about this stuff." Like, I did a few meditations with him. He was like, "It actually feels sick." I was like, "Yes, exactly." So he was like, "No, we're like hood hippies." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "We're from the hood, but we're into all this hippie stuff." And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like even with like clothing, like no offense, everyone's got their style, but some of the like hippie, traditional like hippie clothes that come to
yeah,
mind
yeah.
when you think of a hippie, I'm like, oh no, I wouldn't rock that. So with everything, it was about like showing, like we say.
I've just lost the sound. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if I can. I think I might have lost the sound for you. I'm not sure. Can you? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Hang on. Let's just. Okay, I'm gonna I might have to end it and then rejoin. Hey, I think I can hear you now.
Oh, yes, I can hear you
Yeah.
again. I don't know what happened. You just went mute. I was like,
Yeah,
can't hear you.
technology
I
these
can't hear
days.
you. Oh, no. It's all right. We're back. We're
But
back.
no, do you know what? I think it's really good. I think that's something that the youth need to relate to. It's all about finding yourself, finding your calling, your purpose, finding happiness as well, because of course money isn't everything. You have to have that right balance. And I think everyone these days is just fixed on chasing money, chasing, the cars, the right house, the clothes, the this and that. But at the end of the day, it's all about your purpose. That is what's going to help you to become happy
100%.
in life. Yeah.
100%. And I think as well, like, a lot of people are under the illusion that you can't like align the two. So even when I
Yeah.
started work with the Blair Academy, people are like, oh, is it a charity? Yeah, like it's really nice what you do. And I was like, no, it's a business. And they were like, what? Like, you have the audacity to make money from something that you love. Like, how dare you? And I was like, oh, like, no, like, I'm really proud to, pay my
Exactly. Yeah.
bills with hip hop. Like, to me, that's amazing. And as I say, like, I'm always encouraging people to take their experiences, their skill sets, the things that make them them, and turn it into something that can
Yeah.
pay your bills. Like, there's nothing wrong with making money from the thing that you love. And for
Exactly.
me, that's why a social enterprise is such a like powerful kind of business model, because it allows me to have such an impact in the community and also make a profit. Like, it's just like a win-win.
Exactly.
And as I say, I'm really proud. I think a lot of the time we don't question people like in like big corporate companies. Like, we don't question if they feel good about the way they pay their bills. It's really
Exactly.
strange to like look at an entrepreneur and say, oh, well, you just kind of turned your hobby into a career. Like, oh, lucky you. Like, even I used to say, oh, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is a lie. Find what you love and you'll work very, very hard for a significant period in your life, but you'll then hopefully have the freedom to live out the rest of your life how you want. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm an entrepreneur, because
But this is
I
the
want to be
thing.
in charge.
Exactly. This is the thing with the youth as well. And I'll say to them is that you can find a job or a business. You can have a passion. So you could be a music producer, you could be an artist, you could be um, anything basically you want to be. But there is still going to be tasks within that passion that you have that are boring, that are nitty gritty, that are things that you just don't
Say
want
it
to do,
again.
like the
Louder.
bookkeeping and stuff like that.
Louder.
Exactly.
Louder.
So you have to,
It's
this is
real.
where you have to get into that
Real.
mindset. And
But
that's
it's
why things
about
like
your why.
meditation, exactly.
If you know your why, if you know
Yeah,
why you're doing something, why you want to be a producer, why you want to have your own company, whatever it is you want to do, if you
exactly.
understand your why, that's what will help you to follow through. Like, I always say, like, you're not always going to be motivated. Like, you're not going to jump out of bed every day like, yeah, let's get it. It's not how life works. There's going to be hard times. You're going to have down days. But it's about being so dedicated to your cause and what you want to do that
Yeah,
you find that willpower to push through and make things happen, even when you say like the task isn't so enjoyable or it's a bit boring, or it's not your forte. Like, Hood Hippy, like, do you think that I envisage sitting here on my floor bagging up thousands of incense sticks across the living room? Like, it's not how I plan, on spending a
yeah,
Friday
yeah.
night, but it's got to be done. It's just got to be done. Like, there's no
And
way around it. And I
yeah,
think back to some of the jobs I've done. I've worked in KFC, I've cleaned toilets, like,
oh,
I've
same,
done
yeah,
some mad jobs,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
would put in 110% effort and go all out. But what, now I'm not going to give that same energy to my own business? No. Like, if you're feeling like you can't give it, then like you're not tired, you're just uninspired. Like you need to find that you know, fire in your belly again, because there's going to be people that doubt you on the journey. You know, there's going to be people that you've got to prove yourself to. Like,
That's right.
not everyone's going to believe in, you know, you or what you do or the success that you anticipate on having.
That's right.
So, you know, you've got to have that core like strength and belief in yourself to know like you are the person to take that idea forward, and it is going to work. Like, it's a culmination of the mindset and the hard work. Like, can't do one without the other. Like, you've got to work
Yeah.
smart and work hard.
Yeah, and I think as well, sometimes if you are doing a task and you're feeling a bit anxious or feeling stressed, this is the time where you do what that we've been talking about. Like you can take time out and do the breathing exercises, which will only take a minute or two of your time. You could do breathing, you could do meditation, and then go back to your go back to your task, and
100%.
you'll feel much more relaxed and less stressed
Yeah.
and more focused as
Yeah.
well.
And it's powerful. It's like, well, I find it powerful that I can create a moment of peace for myself, regardless of what's going on. Like, even if I'm really
Exactly. It
stressed,
could be
I've
anywhere.
got
Yeah,
loads
yeah.
to do,
Exactly.
you know, it's all
Hmm.
piling up. I feel really empowered knowing that I can still carve out this time for myself and take a moment. You know, and it's important because as an entrepreneur, like, there's nobody coming and saying, right, start work, have a lunch break, take 5 minutes, finish work. Like, there's nobody structuring your day, so it can go one way or the other. You could, you know, land yourself in a very unproductive space, or what I tend to fall into most is being hyper productive and being in a place where like my flatmates will come and close my laptop at 3 a.m. and say, Charlie, you really need to go to bed now, it's done. Like, honestly, people must get emails from me sometimes at god awful times and just think, what is this girl doing? Like, why is she emailing at this time? So yeah, it was definitely, you know, important to find the balance. You know,
Yeah,
it's the whole thing of like, you can't pour from an empty cup. And that's what I was trying to do. I
that's
was
right.
endlessly trying to give out of this cup that was just depleted. So it's really about, you know, filling your own cup, as you say, bringing in like the mindfulness, the self-love, the affirmations, and then you're in a place for like other people to just kind of catch the overflow, you know, without depleting yourself and your own energy and your own resources.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree with everything you said there. It's so important. And this is something that we have to like preach more on, I think. But I just want to go back to the Blair Academy. So with the youth that you've worked with, would you say it's like what's the impact it's had and like if you can share just some experiences maybe of what you've done with the youth?
Sure. I think often when people think of like dance, it gets categorized under like a sport, activity, exercise, fitness kind
That's
of
right.
realm, which is right. You know, it's absolutely great to get these young people moving, and to get them to understand, you know, the impacts of being inactive on their body and their mind too. Um, but I think that approach is very assumptive. And actually, what we find is the real impact that it has on young people are the moments we see their confidence grow and their social skills really improve. Or, you know, we bring them into a setting that they wouldn't have perhaps gone into before or experienced something they wouldn't have experienced. And
Hmm.
that's a big part of why I like the kind of intergenerational aspects of the work as well, because I think young people and older people have kind of their own misconceptions about either side. And when you're
Yeah,
able to expose each group to one another, it kind of, again, dispels some of those myths. So I think it's really nice to be able to work with young people to show them like the other work that we're doing and to get their
yeah,
mind thinking about, you know, how they could actually have an impact on their community through what they want to do. And yeah, as I say, it's really that chance of like developing a person's confidence. So people always like fail to believe it, but I was very, very quiet when I was a child. I was very shy, didn't like talking, believe it or not. And when I found dance, for me, that was like so powerful, because I was like, wow, I get to express myself and I don't have to say anything. This is amazing. It was like it was made just for me. So, you know, even though now I'm very confident and I'm able to speak in front of people and dance in front of people and all that stuff, I can still very much relate to that inner child that once felt that way. And it's amazing to be able to give young people this like tool to express themselves and tell their stories, because often there are so many stories that they have to tell. Same with the older adults, you know, it's great to be able to give people a platform where they can speak without even speaking. So yes, you know, of course, for me, it's great to be able to positively impact their health, both physically and mentally, and really encourage like a fun, engaging way to do that they actually want to, you know, come along to and get involved with. But then alongside that, it's really that social element and building up their confidence and letting them have, you know, a time and a space to speak their truth. And as I say, express their stories and their experiences. And I think people thrive when you give them a safe space to be able to, as I say, you know, express what they've been through, or have that release. It's just so powerful. So that's what I would say kind of sticks with me the most out of the work that we do with young people. Also just seeing them crossing boundaries. So, you know, a lot of us will face barriers when we're trying to do something new, right? And most of them are in our own head. We say, oh no, I can't do that because X, Y, Z.
That's right.
I think a lot of the time as a young person, you can be quite insecure and you can have a number of like mental or actual barriers stopping you from accessing stuff. And it's lovely to just be able to break down those barriers and say, look, like whatever's going on, wherever you're at, like we will work something. If you need to come watch our YouTube, you want to come on Zoom, here's the Zoom link. We got this class in this community center coming in a few weeks. Like, it's just great to be able to say to them, like, however you want to get involved with this, like there is space for you. And hip hop does that. It, you know, it welcomes you as you are. It says, come, like, bring your personality, bring your flavor. You know, we don't want you to just mimic me and be carbon copies of me. I want you to be yourself in our sessions. So yeah, just giving young people the permission to be themselves, tell their story, express themselves, boost their confidence. That's what I love about working with young people in the way that we do.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, totally agree. And looking at your work, so I've done a lot of research as well. So I was looking into your work, I was looking into your social media channel, website, everything. And I think that with you know, with hip hop as well, it's actually quite clever what you've done, because hip hop is actually, if people don't realize, hip hop is not, it's not just the music. Hip hop actually started as a culture. So, you know, rap is like, you know, rap is actually, you know, the lyrics within hip hop, but hip hop is a culture. So bringing your personality to your sessions as well, being you, you know, being just
everything,
yourself,
the clothes
and,
you
know,
wore, the style, like so many of the moves, it's about showing off. Like, look at my fresh shoes. Look, what? Like, so much of it was about expressing yourself, whether it be through graffiti art, DJing, as you say, the rap, the MCing, the dance.
It's a culture,
And often people like were involved in all of those elements. It wasn't just like, I'm a dancer, I'm an MC. Like, people were like, yeah, like I live and breathe hip hop. So for me, it was like obvious. It was like, okay, so hip hop came from a place where people were oppressed and they felt like they weren't part of their community and they had no place to express themselves. So if I'm now working with people that equally feel isolated from their community and that they can't express themselves, that it was like no brainer. It was like, this is the thing to bridge the gap. Like, that's it. But I think when I'm like pitching or applying for funding and things like that, that's one of the main things that comes up. Like, why hip hop though? Like, why has it got to be hip? Can't you do ballroom with them? Or, you know, don't you think the old people might like a little jive or something? I'm like, yo, you missed the whole historical context. It has to be hip hop for a reason.
I think it's really good though, because I think some of the elderly people that you've done it with at first, they might not have been into that type of
Yeah, of
music,
course not.
clearly, because it's not their
Yeah.
generation. But I'm sure once they get into it, they start to like it. And I've seen some
Yeah.
videos from your sessions, and it's really inspiring. I think it's
Yeah.
really good, like how some of the elderly have actually like got into it,
Yeah.
and I'm sure the youth as well, they love it as well.
Yeah.
So.
But again, if you
Um,
know hip hop, you know that a lot of this music is sampled. We're
yeah,
taking inspiration from the generations before us.
that's right.
So
That's
when I'm
right.
going into these, they're like, I know this one. And of course, you know, they don't know the remix. They know the original, but it
Oh yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
has that resonance. And, you know, I think as well, we make the kind of assumption that older people, like, they're just stuck in their ways. They don't want to try anything new. They don't want to keep learning. And that's not true. And also what we're finding, you know, we've got an aging population. We're living much longer, but with a lot more health conditions.
That's right.
And also, like, some of the health conditions that we just associate with like older people, the elderly, are actually affecting people in their 60s, 50s, 40s, a lot younger than, you know, we
Mm.
think, oh, you know, yeah, maybe 70s, 80s, 90s, you might experience that. But actually, there's people a lot younger experiencing things like dementia. So, you know, for
That's
me,
right. Yeah.
it's, you know, having that, like, well, my mum is in her late 40s. If she, God forbid, you know, went into a home right now, she wouldn't want to listen to Vera Lynn from the war. You know, she would not want to do that. And again, it's like what we were saying earlier with the young people as well. It's about having a variety. Not every single older person in a care home will want to do chair-based hip hop. Of course not. It's not for everyone. But it's so important to give them the option and say, you know, you can get involved with this. And, you know, to see how they come away and like tell their families after, it's just so that, yeah, just finished my hip hop class, you know, like, and they feel so rejuvenated and youthful and like in touch with like what's going on. You know, there's always that thing of like down with the kids, you know, keeping up with what the young people are into.
Of
And,
course. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's a real thing. We don't like that kind of, you know, fear of missing out or, you know, like being left out of the loop. And often like trends and fashions and stuff, they go around in cycles. I'll wear something, my nan will say, oh yeah, I was wearing that years ago. Like, you think you're a trendsetter? Please, I did that way before you. So, you know, we think we're worlds apart, but actually so much resonance, so much
Yeah.
relatability, you know, so many kind of common recurring themes. So yeah, hip hop, it's a win in terms of reaching
And
people.
this is the thing as well. It's connecting the dots because everyone has to be on board like for the right synergy, isn't it? So it's like you've got the youth, you've got the elderly, and like there's certain things that you've done with the hip hop plus. I'm sure for the youth, it's helped them as well, like get away some of that energy, and also a place where they can release and just be themselves, and also as well mingle with other people, which they might not be able to do
100%.
as well. And then for the
100%.
elderly as well, it's the same thing. It's like making them feel more youthful,
Yeah.
understanding that you know what, hip hop's not that bad, and just actually relating to the youth as well. And the thing is, I feel like we're so far apart sometimes, and that's why a lot of issues, a lot of just people that judge people in certain ways, I feel that are just, it's just a lot of judging going on. And that's what makes a lot of negative energy throughout this world, unfortunately, as well. So I think it's great what you're doing. I think it's really inspiring.
Thanks. Sorry, the postman. Lockdown living, guys. Lockdown living.
No, trust me. But I think it's really good. It's really, really good. And I really, really, respect what you've been doing. And I think it's really, really great that you're
Thank
doing
you.
both sides of the spectrum as well, because it's bringing people together.
That's it. And as I say, it was that core kind of understanding in the beginning that, the work we do, like in terms of loneliness, is not something that is just like affecting one group of people. So, equally our work has to kind of engage lots of different groups as well. So yeah, it's great. I feel very, very lucky to do what I do.
So
100%.
what's your plans then for the Blair Academy? Looking forward.
Well, we've actually got a bit of a rebrand coming up for our third
Okay.
birthday, so keep an eye out because we've got a new logo.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, we've just kind of been working on how we kind of present ourselves to the rest of the
Yeah,
world. Because, you know, we've grown over the 3 years, and we really wanted to just kind of reflect everything that we've learned and how we've adapted in that time. So we're going to be launching some new stuff, which is really exciting, and hopefully working towards a kind of virtual platform, membership service for the care homes that we work with. Would really like
that's
to
good.
kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
have them doing stuff in between our sessions. So yeah, getting like lots of content. I've been working with some other artists, like some musicians, spoken word artists, things like that, just to kind of broaden our horizons, but still all hip hop based, of course.
Before we wrap up, I would like to ask you just a few more things. There was something that I did see on your Instagram, and it was the Escape series.
Uh-huh.
That looks quite interesting. Is this something that you're looking to get into more, or was it more of like a pilot session, or is it something that you're looking to get involved in? Because I think it was when I looked at it, it was like quite a few young people talking about different topics, and it looked quite intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was somewhat of a pilot. Um, Basically, I wanted to put together like a documentary. It's always been just like a want of mine. I love
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
documentaries. And really kind of just showcase a lot of the talent that we have in Waltham Forest. And as I say, like for me, like relatability is a big thing. So like showing young people like, you know, oh, if he can do it, if she can do it, I could do it. You know, they're from where I'm from. Like, you know, even with this video, like I find that so powerful that, you know, we're both from Waltham Forest and we're both doing our thing in the youth sector. And it's like, oh, okay, like if they can do it, like I could do it. Like it's having
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
kind of relatability. So I really wanted to be able to showcase like local talent, and just people that were doing bits really from the end. So I put together a funding application with Waltham Forest Council and their Safer Neighbourhoods team. So it's all about kind of showing young people alternatives to antisocial behaviour, crime, gang violence. And I didn't want to come in like heavy-handed, like black and white, just talking about like statistics, because there are other
Mm.
organisations for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really wanted to come in and, as I say, showcase like relatable people that were once, you know, attracted to that lifestyle or living that lifestyle or suffering from that lifestyle and have now turned it around through whatever creative pursuit. So that's why it's called the Escape series, because it was like, what's your escape? Like, how have you escaped this stuff that, you
Yeah.
know, you can get drawn into? So yeah, it was a privilege putting that together. We had Nathan Hector, who's incredible host, and also actor. He's been in a number of
Yeah.
Netflix films like The Intent. So we had Nathan, who's a very, very good friend also. And this one, I was just lucky to like have people in my circle in the area that were doing amazing things I could call on. We had Analog, who's an amazing producer and also works as a tutor at Big Creative Education. He's done some phenomenal work with very, very well-known artists. So it's great to have his perspective. We had King's Castle, who I mentioned earlier, the twin duo that I live with. It was only right to put them in. They're from Walthamstow too. We also had Tanea, who is known as Ice. He's a dancer. And our stories have always like resonated, because I found out a few years ago that he had experienced like homelessness in the same way that I did, and like lived in hostels and stuff. So we always like had a good connection through that. So
That's
when the
good.
opportunity arose to be able to like give him a platform to share his story and give
Yeah.
advice, I really wanted to do that. So yeah, we've just wrapped up the report, and we're really like amazed with like the reach of the project and how well it did. So definitely watch this space. We'll be having some more bits and pieces coming. We did like a hip hop kitchen pilot as well. Don't know if you've seen that yet. But basically just showing young people things that they can do at home that aren't boring, and again bringing like some life into that daily routine. Like even me, it's like, oh, I've got to cook now, like, oh really, dinner with the front, like, oh gosh. So you know, just revitalizing things. So we took a load of recipes that are named after rappers. So I did like mob leek and potato soup, Buster key lime pie.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, so again, just giving people alternatives, like, you know, not everything is for everyone, but just showing them, look, you can try this, you could give this a go, you could get involved with this, what about that? Like, so yeah, you're definitely going to keep seeing variety. If you ever think, what is Charlie on now? That's why I like to come with the variety and let people know, you know, they can get involved in whatever way suits them.
No, that's really good. That's really, really good. So, do you know what? I have to before we go. I want to do some quick fire questions.
Ooh.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
All right. Like
so, if you answer with just like a sentence, or it could be just one word, just a few questions that are just generic ones. So, so what would you say are your personal goals at the moment?
Peace of mind.
I like that. I like that. That's really good, actually. Yeah, that's a very good answer. What would you like everyone on the planet to embrace?
Self-love. Everyone needs to love themselves.
I think that's one of the most important things.
Yeah,
actually,
it's a dangerous path. If you don't love yourself, like it's the whole cliche. Oh, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody. You can love somebody else if you don't love yourself, but not in the right way, and you know,
that's
not
right.
in a fulfilling way. So self-love, that's my answer.
And what impact would you like to leave on the earth when you're gone, so to speak? Not wishing anything bad, by the way, anyone.
No. What impact I'd like to leave? Just knowing that, like, I made people's existence a bit happier. Like, if people were struggling with this life, which, you know, a lot of us do, me included, and just like in one instance I was able to like turn their mindset or inspire them, then I'll leave the earth happy. And I do think like that's part of my purpose, to just show people like their true capability.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I totally agree. My mindset has totally changed from when I was younger to what I am now. And, you know, I feel my purpose is like yours, is to empower. So definitely watch this space. I think we'll definitely be working on some things together, most definitely, 100%. Because I definitely like your energy and I respect where you've come from to where you are now. And that's what it's about. It's about everyone helping one another, and then we can all live purposeful, happy lives. You know, that's what I think it's all about.
100%.
So where can everyone find you?
So you can find me here on Instagram at the Blair Academy, all one word. We've also got a YouTube channel. For YouTube, you need to type in the Blair Academy Dance, because there's a town in America called Blair's Town, and if you don't clarify that it's dance you're looking for, you might end up at a boarding school in America. So the Blair Academy Dance on YouTube. We've got a website, theblairacademy.com, and Hood Hippy is Instagram at Hood Hippy Official. And we also have an Etsy shop, so you can check out again at Hood Hippy Official on Etsy to purchase our handmade items.
Ooh, I might have to have a look at that.
Handmade with love, blood, sweat, and tears.
No, that's good. That's really, really good. No, thank you, Charlie, for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you for
it was a great discussion. Really good discussion. So I'm going to make sure that all of your socials, the website, everything is going to be uploaded in the comments. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll make sure that I'll put it in the description box below. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch anyway. So
definitely.
Yeah, it was a really good discussion. Thank you for your time, Charlie,
No,
and
thank you for having me. I'll see you soon.
see you soon. Take care,
Take
everyone, as
care.
well.
Bye.
All right, bye. Bye.